So I went back and checked my other videos, and as it turns out, I always speak incredibly quickly. So, this time, I'm going to try to slow it down. I will probably fail to slow it down, but I'll try. Please never jump on your bed again. Like, ever. I'm sorry, but I don't have any cooking tips for you because I'm probably even worse than you are. Alright, that's a lie. I have plenty of tips, but I'm too lazy to go down to the kitchen right now. Off the top of my head, make casseroles because casseroles are delicious and you can use just about anything in your kitchen for them. Buy onions in bulk because they will last forever. Also, did you put a whole head of garlic into your food? No. I actually had a completely different plan for this week's video, but then I realized that you wanted my web series recommendations, which is way more fun. Actually, no, it's not. I'll just talk about what I was going to talk about next week. Question, is it web series or web series? Series. I think that one of the things you need to keep in mind when you're watching web series in the first place is that they're usually very low budget. You won't see anything that's incredibly mind-blowing in these. What's really great about them is that they're not bound by networks, which is cool because sometimes people have really good ideas that just don't get picked up by networks for whatever reason, so the internet gives them another medium with which they can convey their story. It's also starting to lead us into this thing called transmedia storytelling, which is where you use multiple platforms to convey a complete story. So for instance, you have the episodes, and that's the skeleton. And you can get what you need from the story by watching the episodes. But you get a much richer experience by checking out their Twitters, for instance, or their Snapchats. Sometimes they even have Facebook pages. Okay, a few web series that you should totally check out. First, Zombie Orpheus Entertainment does a whole slew of web series. My personal favorite is The Gamers, which appears to be coming out in a series of trilogies, but all of them are good. Their visual effects are fantastic, and they have this great sense of humor in which they're both taking themselves incredibly seriously and not taking themselves seriously at all. Does that make sense? I'm pretty sure that makes sense. Yeah. I also feel the need to commend the costumes department because, all things considered, they do a fantastic job. Next is My Gimpy Life, which basically follows the misadventures of disabled actors in Hollywood. You might recognize Teal Shepard, I think I'm saying her name right, from The Guild if you've ever seen that. Anyway, this web series is really well done, and it's genuinely funny. I mean, I literally LOL'd at certain points, which usually I don't do when I'm sitting by myself watching a web series on my computer. Also, sometimes some bigger faces show up, like Mindy Sterling was on it once. It's different, it's funny, and it's eye-opening, so it's worth a watch. Alright, next I'm going to talk about two at the same time because they're both very similar, and those are the Lizzie Bennet Diaries and Carmilla. So there's currently this ongoing trend of taking classic literature and adapting it to be a modern web series, which is cool. So there's actually a lot of these kinds of things out there right now, but I think that the two that really nail it are these two. The Lizzie Bennet Diaries won an Emmy Award, so somebody thought it was good. If you couldn't tell from the name, Lizzie Bennet Diaries is based on Pride and Prejudice, and it follows the life of Lizzie Bennet and her sisters as they all try to find boyfriends. Trust me when I tell you that it's actually more interesting than that sounds. And Carmilla is based on the first ever vampire novel of the same name, which actually came out 20 years before Dracula did. The show also happens to be sponsored by Kotex, which, in case you didn't know, is a tampon company. Which is brilliant. I think I need to add a disclaimer here and say that both of those shows are incredibly campy, but they're totally worth it. Also, both shows have incredibly attractive casts, so at the very least, you have some eye candy. And finally is a series that I actually haven't gotten around to watching yet, but I need to. So I'm going to talk about it anyway as motivation to get myself to watch it. From what I can gather, Video Game High School is about a high school where all the classes are based around video games, which is a simple enough premise. It makes sense. Sure, why not? Based on what I've seen written about it, I feel like you'll enjoy it. And I feel like I'll enjoy it, so we should watch it. Mostly me, because now that I've talked about it, I should probably watch it. And there's obviously plenty of other web series out there that you should absolutely check out. Those are just the few that I happen to have off the top of my head. Alright, that's more or less all I got for you, so check them out. Let me know what you think. Oh, and I got a kalimba.